Am I actually live? Okay, what's up? And welcome to the show. If this is even live, I can't tell. It's been a minute since I did a live show. Um, um, Thanks for watching. So this is a special edition. This is a special, obviously, I don't know if you can tell from my background, this is a special voter edition. If you, um, yeah, what's going on with you? What have you heard going on? Anything exciting happened today that you heard about? Yeah. So obviously, this is a voter special. We're going to be talking about President Joe Biden dropping out of the 2024 presidential election race. Um, I am live. There is, let me see, let's see, top chat. There is no music this episode. That is pretty rare for this show, but I wanted to go live, and also I think we're going to keep it pretty brief so it's not, and we're really just going to talk about this one topic, though there's quite a bit to unpack. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to do a little housekeeping before I get started in the notes. So that's it. I mean, obviously, Biden dropped out of the race. That is. I mean, it's there was speculation and people, though mostly I would say lower level people who were name grabbing or attention grabbing just a little bit. It felt like, but also some Hollywood people. Yeah, but he has officially, as of Sunday today, earlier today, dropped out of the race and endorsed Harris. I'm disappointed he chose to do so on X. I really. Do you remember when we were all like, it can't possibly, we cannot contend with having a town square run by Elon Musk, and then all the reports about the toxic and how that was driving people off. I am one of those people. I am on Threads, but I know I am alone because I still see how often the media still cites sources that are from Twitter. I still see how politicians use Twitter to make official announcements. I mean, and I saw how all the advertisers came back. So yeah, I feel like there could have been a different way to do that that didn't give Elon Musk money. Apparently, his staff only knew a minute before. He did endorse Kamala Harris, almost more or less immediately. That was in the second tweet, or do we call them? Do you? I don't call them anything, but do you call them tweets anymore? Harris intended to. No, yeah, Harris intends to win the nomination. She is honored to have Biden's endorsement, and her messaging was all around we need to beat Trump and Project 2025, which I think is a little bit of a simplification. I think continuing to connect Trump to Project 2025 and making people aware of what it is and that's what we're up against. But to say that we can beat it at the ballot in 2024 is a little bit misleading because it is a 900-page blueprint that extends way beyond just this election or even Trump. Although, I mean, no one buys his attempts to distance himself from Project 2025 because it's like all his same people. And if his administration were to get in again, it would be all his same people, I'm sure, that he would appoint. And it isn't him. I mean, it is a separate, or it isn't him, and it is a blueprint that they're very clear is they like Donald Trump, but it could be any candidate, and it will be any candidate because it is a long-term plan. The Biden-Harris campaign is still. We're going to take a look at their website in a little bit. Is still. Sorry, let me double check to make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Okay. But yeah, no, I don't. I think she's correct. Yeah, and the website is even selling. Look into Project 2025 stickers with QR codes. Hollywood and DC react to Biden's decision to pull out, with people like Lee Daniels, Barbara Streisand, Robert De Niro, Jon Favreau, and Ariana Grande shouting out their support. Politicians like, well, this is interesting, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, who else? Josh Shapiro, Hakeem Jeffries, basically people whose names have been floated as top of ticket, being considered for the top of ticket as well. They've all shouted out their support for Biden. They've all full-throated that he's been an impactful president, that he's gotten a lot done, that he's making the right choice, that he is a patriot for doing this for his country, that they know that must be hard. Like, they're all really positive with Biden. None of them have anything to say about Harris yet. We'll see. Though Stacey Abrams seems to be the first politician I've seen that came out in support. The Clintons have both endorsed her. Jamie Lee Curtis, Mandy Morris, continuing on with, I guess, celebrities. LFG, Bella Thorne, who is the only, honestly, I'm going to say this list is a little bit closer to Donald Trump's list of endorsees, in that these are all, I want to say 80s and 90s stars who maybe are not at the height of their careers at this particular moment. But yeah, the Clintons, Jamie Lee Curtis, no, she's still doing great, actually. John Cryer, Mandy Morris, we all still love her from This Is Us. Yvette Nicole Brown from Community, Rosie O'Donnell, Spike Lee, Natasha Lyonne, and then Bella Thorne is probably the youngest person on the list, who also sent the Instagram message LFG, or let's fucking go. I'm wearing my Hillary I'm with her shirt, but the her in this case is Kamala Harris. I am with her, though, with an asterisk. We'll see. This convention should be interesting, the Democratic convention. Meanwhile, while everyone so successfully piled on Biden that they actually convinced him to drop out of the race, the Biden-Harris campaign actually outraised Trump for June. So again, how badly is he doing? How badly was he doing? Since you can't prove a counterfactual, we'll never know if. Okay, here's the thing, Democrats. You are all saying, but if he doesn't win, that will be his legacy. If you pushed him out and Trump wins, that will be the legacy. Just saying. Because we'll never know if he could have won. He thought he could have won. I think he could have won. But I think Kamala Harris can run this country. I think Kamala Harris could be president. We'll get to what the right-wingers, including Speaker Johnson, thinks. But yeah, I think she could run it from day one. I think she run it starting tomorrow. Continuing on with the endorsements, though, the Asian American Pacific Islander Victory Fund has endorsed Harris. Latino Victory Fund has endorsed Harris. The Indian American Impact actually has a T-shirt out. American Federation of Teachers and Randy Weingarten, I think, endorsed Harris, but definitely had a nice. Randy Weingarten had a nice statement about Harris, as did the president of the United Auto Workers. Remember, Biden became the first sitting president or I think any president, to join a picket line. They stopped short of endorsing Harris. Buttigieg is the other one who didn't say, who was conspicuously quiet about Harris, but also, thank you to Biden, and then he's so a lot of people really shouting out the president, and a lot of people really talking about how this is a potential for the campaign to be energized. This this obviously neutralizes the age issue no matter who she picks. Here's the interesting thing. What if Harris picked a Republican? Remember, Democrats are locked in. The Republicans they're suggesting, at least on NPR, that somehow Biden has a reputation for a moderate, which you wouldn't think so from their rhetoric, but okay. But Harris is really left wing, which is, again, is that, I know you're also saying she's a DEI hire. Is that just because she's a black woman? Because she's not. Oh no, but yeah, okay, we'll get to it. But what if she picked a Republican? What if she picked Liz Cheney? What if she picked Chris Christie, Adam Kinzinger, Asa Hutchinson? Could be an interesting strategy, could be an interesting opportunity. And an opportunity to say Trump Republican isn't the party. There is still a party, and there's still a party that's willing to come to the table, and we're willing to come to the table with them. Yeah, no, I already said. As recently as the show that I do with my dad that we taped yesterday, I was saying begrudgingly, like, yeah, I was getting with the program and saying, this is maybe it's time, but yeah, I also think this is a victory, if you can call it that, for perception over reality. I think the reality is Biden actually could beat Trump. The reality is Biden actually could run the country for another 4 years and is capable, and just because he has a brain slip every once in a while and had a bad night or whatever. But this is that Trumpian perception over reality that this is pylon news cycles where it doesn't actually matter what the facts are. It's the perception, and none of that benefits people who trade in facts. None of that benefits reality. None of that benefits democracy. And again, I'm not saying this is good for Trump's campaign or him. I'm still torn. I don't know. I do, like I said, my other apprehension is, at least polling wise, Kamala Harris is polling as about the same as Joe Biden. And that's after the debates. And so, I really, really do think, I think there are people in the party who are saying this is an opportunity for a clean slate. Are we sure we don't want to take it? And I very much understand that as well. According to The Hill, House GOP, including Speaker Johnson, calling for Biden to resign. Talking about the nuclear codes. People I don't know if they have, but I've heard people on social media even calling for, invoking the 25th Amendment. Fine. I'm fine with all that now. They do realize that would make Harris the president now, which... great. That perfect timing for her to start her campaign as president. That's fine with me. And do they realize that they're wasting their energy now, continuing to pick on a guy who is not running for any? I guess is I didn't realize. Yeah, no, they always talk about Trump deranged. I didn't realize Biden deranged with him was a real thing. I assumed that they picked on him, targeting his age specifically as strategic maneuvers. I didn't realize they genuinely don't like the guy and they want to like it's a personal, like they're going to keep going after him and Hunter. And I really think just like Hillary's emails went away, like all of that needs to go away. But they're also, again, not so subtly dog whistling that they have no intention of doing any legislating, that as much as they complain lawfare, all they want to do is have hearings and target and Yeah, there is no, yeah, all calls for unity means to them is I shouldn't be allowed to say Trump is a threat to democracy when he absolutely is, unquestionably. I'm not buying it. And as far as the nuclear codes, I'm not even. Trump campaign sounds pretty. I don't want to say they sound scared, but they're Harris is worse, and saying basically that she has to answer for all of Biden's policies as well as being weak on crime as a California prosecutor. I don't think that's true. Also, if they are saying she was weak on crime as a California prosecutor, then that really, oh, that would be really weird. It's definitely not going to be Gavin Newsom. I don't. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be Gavin Newsom. Just because they're both from California, that just hit me. She's in some real rock. It doesn't matter. Whoever she picks, they're going to pick on. Yeah. If it's a white guy, they're yeah. If it's not a white guy, they're it's all just a DEI ticket. Whoever. Like you could even say that 5 years ago out loud. Like, I can't believe the world we're in. Like you can say about the vice president of the United States that she's a DEI hire, and yeah, well, you can have a podcast that people listen to that's people that gets distributed. That yeah, I mean, I understand Nick Fuentes has the free speech to say what he wants, but I can't believe that we're not, or the left isn't even organized enough to figure out who distributes his shit and put some pressure on them. I mean, they can cancel Bud Light. Well, they can cancel Bud Light because they're the only ones who drink Bud Light. We never drank Bud Light anyway, and we're not going to start now. So that's all. That's and the Bud Light guy's a big Trump supporter. So that's all again right on right crime. But yeah, when Nick Fuentes out loud questions whether JD Vance, who I'm sorry, unquestionably is a right wing MAGA, do not question any of, yeah, I'm sure he uses words like DEI and higher and woke and all that shit. Despite the fact his wife is Indian American, and despite the fact that people on his own side are going to say things like, well, question whether he's really here for the white race and continue to have a podcast. You can say that out loud and continue to have a podcast, Nick Fuentes. Don't worry, Nick. First of all, don't worry, Nick. He is. Don't worry. He is. Just like Christopher Rufo. At the end of the day, they don't really, I mean, I don't want to say they don't really give a shit about their family, but they well, some people assume their privilege will protect them, and to a certain extent it does. But yeah, American Indian Impact, who again, I'm sorry, Indian American Impact. That's Indian American Impact, which has a Kamala Harris shirt. I haven't seen it, but a shirt available. They went out of their way to say they do not endorse JD Vance, and again, called out dangerous Project 2025. Tennessee's delegates became the first to vote to endorse Harris. Oh, and yeah, no. Yeah, Mike Johnson had a big press day. In addition, yeah. If nothing else, thank you, Joe Biden, for making Mike Johnson work on a Sunday. Clearly, you weren't in church, bro. First of all, after saying that Biden should pull out of, I'm sorry, not saying Biden should pull out. first of all, say after saying Biden should step down immediately as president, which does he realize that would make Kamala Harris the president immediately? I don't understand what these calls are even for, except they're, yeah, no, they're Kool-Aid drinkers. But he also said that Biden's pulling out of the race may be illegal, which experts say that's not true. I am curious though, and this does, I hate when right wingers say something that I'm like, oh, that makes a little bit of sense. This is going to complicate things with the ballot because it was already like, is Biden's name going to be, because of when the Democratic convention is, which is late August, whoever the nominee, which was presumed at the time to be Biden, would their name be in time to get on the ballot in certain states, which require to have their names in first? Some of those states have already suggested that they'll change their rules. Mike Johnson's questioning whether they can legally change the rules. So suddenly states don't have rights when you don't like the rights that they're using. That is interesting, though. Whoever ends up the Democratic nominee may end up a write-in candidate in some states, and some of those states may be the swing states that are important, and that's interesting. But it's not illegal for Biden to. What are you talking about? Ugh. Wait, that was it? That was it. That was all the notes I got. Okay. That was a quickie. Well, shout out to John Jacobs. No one tuned in live. That's okay. Oh, someone is watching right now. Someone was watching right now. As soon as I said no one is watching, they stopped watching. Yeah, okay. I think no, that's it though. That's the whole show. Yes, that is, in case you're wondering, yes, that is a Chris Christie. Well, you can't see it. Okay, I'm going to have to remove the background. Oh, I said I was going to go to the, okay, before I do that, let's go to the Biden-Harris website, which as of right now still says Biden-Harris, because literally this is very new. So actually, if you just go... Oh, and actually, I said that was it, but I did say the thing about, what? I said the thing about the Tennessee delegates, right? Oh, yeah, no, if I didn't say that, that's actually, yeah, Tennessee delegates vote to endorse Kamala Harris. Okay, it's changed since this morning. Oh, and you can't buy any merch anymore. I was going to show you the dark Brandon merch that I was going to wear today, but it feels a little too soon. I do have some Biden-Harris merch, which is now collector's items, I guess. Okay, so let's see. There's Harris campaign website. It is joebiden.com. Oh, no, wait. Okay, can you still go to the store? Yeah, you can't go to the store. They disabled everything. So as of what I wanted to show you was that they had stickers that said "Look into Project 2025," and it had a QR code. which they should still be selling right now since it's part of Kamala Harris's messaging. Also, now this makes it look like their website got hacked, but I know what it is that they have just superseded it with this, and they just want straight donations along with the picture or her picture. Oh, you can't even. It doesn't. This doesn't even make sense. They should have at least. You could have curated the store. It took you first of all, it takes about 20 seconds to curate a store. I know this for a fact because I have a T-shirt store. You can click the link on my thing, but I should update it before I announce it because I don't have anything new on it, and everything's outdated. But it takes like 20 seconds to update a store to remove the items or add new items. But the Kamala Harris Pride mugs. I was gonna buy some Kamala Harris merch, but I'm not donating right now. I mean, First of all, I know you're doing okay because you did fine in June, even during his disastrous. I know you're all doing fine. So, but yeah, that's okay. I was gonna show you the website has not been updated, but that was like 2 hours ago. Okay, let's quickly. I'm not gonna screen share because. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly take a look at the news and see if anything has, if anything. Yeah, as I said, obviously this is a developing story. Dems rally behind Harris after Biden drops out of race. Okay, let's see. Democrat rally behind Kamala Harris in a bid to avert divisive party convention. As I said, it could get interesting. Last week, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi told Democrats from her home state she favored an open convention, which my dad was talking about. But Democratic donors who have pressured Biden to drop out of the race wasted no time throwing their support behind Harris. The New York Times reported, quickly raising millions of dollars. My photo's exploding. In many ways, Harris is it. In many ways, Harris is the candidate that makes sense to replace Biden on the top of the Democratic ticket. For starters, because the Biden-Harris campaign was registered with the Federal Election Commission, the FEC, under both of their names, Harris could legally use the tens of millions of dollars in the campaign ahead. Harris will also inherit all of Biden's campaign staff. Biden's former campaign manager, Julie Chavez Rodriguez, told the New York Times on Sunday, Harris cannot simply be anointed as the party's nominee, especially since the primaries have already concluded and Biden, not Harris, amassed the delegates required to be named the Democratic candidate for president. But Biden has yet to be named the 2024 Democrat nominee, a formality that is usually decided at a party's convention, but was going to be decided virtually. I guess they're not, obviously, that's not happening. Now the 3,900 pledged Democratic National Convention delegates will be asked to pick up the party's nominee. Roughly 99% of whom Sorry, I got lost in my own head for a second. Yeah, now the 3,900 pledged Democratic National Convention delegates will be asked to pick the party's nominee, and roughly 99% of them who are pledged to support Biden are no longer required to do so. Wait, does that mean 1% of them are still required to support Biden, even though he dropped out? Okay. Your state sucks, wherever you live. Like, I don't know, it must be, well, if it's 1%, it must be Rhode Island. No, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing Rhode Island under a bus. Mm, I use that phrase a lot, and I'm always like constantly aware of my language. Is there going to become a time where I'm going to have to be where someone's going to be like, "My mother was thrown under a bus," and that's really offensive to me. I don't know. I mean, this is not me having obviously. If I if you've heard me use, and I'm about to explain my Chris Christie mug, the words DEI and woke a few times, and you're like, wait, I'm confused about your politics, which I confuse people, and it's not by mistake. Um, no, I'm not. No, no, no. It's definitely I'm not any of that. Um, what did I say? I can't even remember what I said. Okay, New Hampshire. Um, oh, I said Rhode Island just because they're small and like yeah. How many? What percent? Why is 1% of delegates required to support Biden even if he's dropped? Okay. It's unclear if Harris will face a serious challenger. I'm sorry, let me. This is just Yahoo News, by the way. I like to let people know where they're getting their news from. Um, and again, I'm not the news. I'm just someone who synthesizes and processes it and then tries to explain it the way I understand it, but I also very much understand it through my own lens and my own perspective. That is very much not unbiased. Oh, wait. News outlets quickly reported some of the leading contenders, like Governor Gretchen Whitmer, would not contest the race. She didn't. Okay, so I reported earlier in this episode she did not endorse. Conversely, she is actually the co-vice president, co-chair. I don't know what she is. Somewhere pretty high up at the Biden-Harris campaign. Um, and she also gave very measured. She gave an interview on NPR, mostly around her book, which is called like Big Gretch, I think, based titled after a rap song about her. Oh, now let's end with that for just for funsies. But yeah, her statements to NPR indicated I'm not in a hurry. My time will come. That was it with a lot of dignity, and not just my time will come. She said basically, not even like with the humility of like, "Hey, you're being considered for president," and she deflected it so gracefully, saying, "Look, the Democratic Party has a deep bench of talent, and I appreciate people think." That I have skills that would translate. This is her exact. I am paraphrasing ish, but word almost word for word. Um, but basically, we'll all be here in 4 years' time. I'm not in a hurry. We're not. I'm good. I'm the governor, I will say the governor. Yeah, she's fine. Um, oh, Mark Kelly endorsed. People, a lot of buzz on online, and I didn't mention him as one of the people who have been mentioned as like top of ticket. Like, what if we just no Harris, no Biden, no? What if it was just a whole new thing? He's actually one of those people too, but the others like Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom. Oh, as did Gavin Newsom. Okay. Oh, Gavin Newsom has actually endorsed the campaign, which that is occurred since I started this episode, basically, or no, well, since I started reporting. Chris Coons of Maryland. These are people who are endorsing Biden. Including the Political Action Committee representing Black Caucus, Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin, Jim Clyburn, Ilhan Omar, John Ossoff, Patty Murray, Boop, Boop. Oh, I should be wearing my Murray good. Sorry, Duke. Do you want to wear your dogs for Murray? Do you want to wear your dogs for Murray? I'm gonna have to get it. Yeah. All right, we're gonna get. Duke, you're gonna be in this episode. You can be in this episode. It's still your choice. Okay. Change of plans. We'll find your dogs for Murray bandana and wear it another time. In the meantime, I'll tickle your belly. I will tickle your belly. High five. High five on belly tickling. Yeah, I think that's something we can all agree on. Oh, unless you're. Oh my gosh. I'm just remembering a random BuzzFeed. Now, every single time I think of BuzzFeed, I have to remember that Vivek Ramaswamy owns a 7% of that. But they're still not, that so far has not resulted. They're still just doing a bunch of listicles and stuff. But this was a list of things that people lied about that seem really, really random. But this woman has her husband convinced that she's not ticklish, though she's really ticklish, because if he, I totally get this one. She was like, if he knew I was actually ticklish, he would tickle me affectionately, but no, it's not affectionate. The fact that you have to lie to him still tells me y'all got some consent issues to work on. Okay. Mark Warner of Virginia, Chris Murphy of Connecticut, Mazie Hirono of Hawaii, Tina Smith of Minnesota, Tim Kaine. I actually heard him endorsing her. He said he knows her and described her as a friend. Alfonso Butler of California. Some Democrats did hesitate to commit to endorsing Harris, including John Tester of Montana and Peter Welch of Vermont. Harris pledges to earn and win this nomination. Read the full text of Biden's letter. Read the full text. Americans react. Finally, a brave act from a politician, USA Today. All right. Yeah, a little bit frustrated. Okay, sorry. The Zoom was not cooperating. Wow. I'm glad I don't try and use Blu-ray. It doesn't even seem to work on my house. Like it's like okay. Anyway, now you're sleeping and farting. You're supposed to be on the show. High five if you want to be on the show. High five if you want. Okay, that's consent. You don't have to be on the show because you don't actually understand what I'm saying, and I don't think you know what a YouTube show is. But thanks for the high five. High five again. Just for high five. High five if you want a high five. Yes! That's how consent works. That I can, at the very least, I know you know what a high five is, and if you give me one, you must want one. Because sometimes you don't give me a high five. Sometimes I'm like, high five, and you're like, fuck you, you're supposed to be walking, dude. I'm like, oh, it is getting a little bit late, but I have things to do. We walk later. High five if we walk later in the summertime. Yeah. We walk later in the summertime, and that's it. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna end this pretty quickly because yeah, I'm gonna end this pretty quickly. So, well, since we're doing Christmas in July, as yeah, as we do every year, this is actually it says Merry Christie Miss, and it literally is a Christmas themed Chris Christie mug, and I can tell you this is actually pinpoint for you exactly when I bought this, and I can tell you exactly. But first of all, it's a Chris Christie mug in pink, if you can't tell that. And something about the way it just says Christie on it feels very Barbie-esque, and I'm not saying they did that on purpose, but there's something about this mug felt very Barbie-esque. Because that's one thing, but you're like, you supported a Republican candidate because they put out a pink mug? No. What he actually did, and if you don't know this, unfortunately it's better than, well, the current White House. On the Republican stage, where he had to face, well, not Trump, but all the mini Trumps, or all the ones vying to be Trump, including Vivek Ramaswamy. Oh, did I finish that thought? Yeah, BuzzFeed is all still like just ridiculous listicles. It's not, he hasn't turned it right wing yet. But also, they haven't done any serious reporting since like 2020 anyway. They're all just listicles anyway. So I don't know what he thought he bought, and I don't know if he thought he was like pulling a Elon and like he was going to convert a left wing media to right wing, but he bought like ridiculous listicles. Actually, well, but it also actually, well, speaking of Elon, it's pretty reliably just a Twitter feed to listicle converter, which I guess maybe that benefits his pal. Maybe if he invested in X also. Oh, I will always dead name X. I don't, yeah, no, and I refuse to even, yeah, entertain that one. But individuals, including Yi, I hate to like, I'm not going to disrespect what you want to be called. Whatever people's chosen names have, people have a right to a chosen name. Even JD Vance, even JD Vance, who opposes people having a right to identity. Yeah, no, people's other who opposes people's rights to their own identity. But I will still respect his, even though that, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is why this episode needs to be over. So on the debate stage, with all the little mini Trumps trying to out Trump, so I'm talking about Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Nikki Haley. Christie was asked point blank something about gender affirming care, and he basically said, "I trust parents to know and love their children." That's what he said, and that is the correct response. That is the response I wish the White House would have given to, and again, I hate to call out the Biden Harris right now, but this is something that really, I don't know. Well, it's her ticket now, and so she is a right. Well, but she's also, I understand, this might not be the time because she's already apparently going to be accused of taking it more left wing. So anything she says, it sounds. Biden has said all sorts of pro trans things, and yes, Biden has said the word trans. My favorite is still. Is this from like, this goes back to like 2019, but I missed it. Don't mess with me, kid. He was asked by a right-wing commenter how many genders there are. He said at least 3, which I still think is memeable and is like the gay community's response, which range from like, okay, that's a pretty good answer for a grandpa, to that's better than actually my own family might answer, which is unfortunate when you feel that way, but I also feel that way. Some members, not everyone. Um, to actually, I mean, that's there are at least, I mean, at least three is vague and specific enough to that there are at least three genders. Um, it's a spectrum. He could have said that, but we, yeah, no, we weren't expecting that from him. Um, Either because we weren't expecting him, Joe Biden, to really fully understand that, to be able to articulate it, but also, again, these are politicians who are being who know that what they're saying is going to be edited down, and they're being asked by a right-wing source. um, so when the White House recently replied to, I don't even know what, it's not, there's no bill, there's no, as far as I know, there's no federal national thing. This wasn't a required thing. It wasn't like he had to either sign or veto something. This was just an optional, someone asked, and the White House announced that they believe, or the White House, that their position is gender affirming care should just be for adults. No, that is the incorrect answer. The correct answer is that's a decision to be made by the individual, their parents, and their doctor. Period. That is not a decision for politicians. And that gets you off the hook for not, and ties in with the reproductive justice, which you are trying to, which you are trying desperately to hang Biden especially, and I'm assuming Harris will as well, hang the campaign on, which is reproductive rights, which are under attack. And when they're under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back? Yes. And you could campaign on that if you weren't also the party of, well, I guess sometimes maybe it's okay for politicians to invade in people's lives. I'm not sure. I've lost that line. If they're trans, it is, but if they're, it's not for politicians. That would get you off the hook for so many other future things that they're now going to bottleneck you, and I'm going to use cop terminology, into answering, because they're using the same tactics. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of channel housekeeping, but this is not. I do the bloggy stuff at the end. This is not. This is a quickies episode. Shout out to @13 the Furry. I would love to see you at Cutie Fest. The next Cutie Fest is in Cal Anderson at August 18th. I've actually been at previous Cutie Fests. I think I was the last one. If the last one was in April, I think I was there. So see you there. Ooh. The next Cutie Fest is August 18th, 10 to 6 at Cal Anderson Park. Oh, I was super confused. This is just some this is just some, there's just some housekeeping. I've been talking a lot about how, for some reason, and there are a few reasons. It might be because YouTube was called out on their algorithm, specifically pointing to the right wing, and so suddenly now they adjusted their algorithm. Despite speaking of lawfare, despite the fact that they're literally calling the top, the heads of many tech companies to defend how they're censoring right-wing voices. The truth is, nationalism, Christian nationalism, racist nationalism, white nationalism proliferates on the internet almost without any barriers whatsoever. All the algorithms promote them. Content by other types of creators is absolutely marginalized, and when it is promoted, it is in weird ways that get us exposed to communities that we don't want to be exposed to. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with how YouTube hides my channel. Mostly love that they hide it because I love being my own quiet little corner of the internet. I hate how it promotes all that shit though. How, again, I don't even know. Can you get Nick Fuentes's? If I searched YouTube, would I find his podcast where he's talking openly about JD Vance's um, lack of his lack of white nationalism because he has a non-white wife? Although I'm going to go ahead and dispute Nick Fuentes and say I think JD Vance is a white nationalist. I don't think his non-white wife is actually, and I know for a fact white nationalists, I know personally that people who uphold racism, however unintentionally, can and do have relationships with people of color for years, decades. And then try and use, actually, it's one thing to be like, I have a black friend to like defend yourself to other people, but trying to use that on you, like, I dated you. Yeah. And you treated me like shit in all these ways that I'm detailing. Tell me again about my hair. Ugh, I'm really struggling. I need to, well, yeah, anyway. Um, Tell me again why you're the expert on my hair. Tell me again why, objectively, why a white guy making fun of rap songs on the internet is funny, and if I don't think it's funny, I'm wrong. um, I don't know. I didn't find it that cute. Yeah, no. Like I said, though, I am 100% fine with hiding my content, but I wish that other content wasn't what was promoted instead. Um, Oh, and then this one was weird. There's a banner across the top that says we've updated how our erase song feature. You can now blah blah blah. Like you can now erase the song but still use the video, which I'm assuming is especially going to help primarily gym health influencers who, especially those selfish ones who like to try and tell other people to turn down their music at the gym. And, well, if you're playing your music at the gym, no, I'm sorry, trying to tell the gym to turn down their music. Um, Actually, it depends on the gym. I don't know how it works. In any event, um, if you ever want to be able to create content, including like, oh, actually, speaking of some of the content that's been more visible, that has attracted some of those people who have the comments that like I'm not appreciating so much. But no, I actually, again, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate all comments. But some of the people who have commented more negatively have been the Pride videos. Some of my Pride videos, the background music I can't control, but I could still do a Pride video and then just erase. Okay, here's the thing. I was confused because I've been using this for a month. I guess YouTube does sometimes treat me as a content creator. Yeah, because I've been beta testing this, and they did acknowledge like this is in beta. And no, my channel has been the perfect example because some of my videos have 30, 40. In fact, some of my videos have been so long, they said, this is too long to use this feature. And I'm like, oh, okay. But that also helps them and me define the parameters of everything. This is, speaking of which, going to be a quickies episode. Um, but no, yes, YouTube sometimes does treat me as a content creator. Last night was the full moon. Sometimes it's called the buck moon because this is the time of year when bucks sometimes grow their horns. Lunar landing is 55th anniversary. So if you happen to catch it, which I did briefly, but I did, it was quite a moon. That might have been a good time to think about and reflect on the 55th anniversary of the Apollo lunar landing, assuming you're not a conspiracy theorist who doesn't believe that exists. Again, we're getting more right-wingers watching our channel. Ooh, like, comment, subscribe. You might learn something. Oh, something, small town in upstate New York, cows and animal rights activists. I want to. I'm not going to tell this story now, but this is going to be an upcoming. I'll do a deeper dive. Yeah, if you want to know exactly how kind of left wing I am, I did a clinic defense. I'm wearing a Hillary Clinton T-shirt. Well, no, that would make me like center moderate because she's not super girl. Or yeah, no, she's not. Oh, I do have a Bernie Sanders poster in the background. Can you see it? It's Bernie Sanders and Public Enemy on the radio, or is that what it's called? It's not actually Public Enemy, but they print the other part so small that you can't really tell it. It's like Chuck D, but not Public Enemy. I mean, it's Chuck D, but Flavor Flav is not going to be there. But it is a version of Chuck D that did appear on a live stream with Bernie Sanders, and you could buy a poster, and I did. So that's how radical I am. I am asking for just $5. I am again just asking for $5. But no, I did a clinic defense. Shout out to G, E, M, and S. I often just use initials because I don't want to cost anyone anything. Yeah, the short version is we outnumbered the antis, which is it's so weird. I don't know, but no, the anti-abortion activists. As I was saying recently about Mark Zuckerberg, who, I'm sorry, called Trump a badass for raising his fist after being grazed by a bullet, which, I'm sorry, that was preceded by him wrestling with his own Secret Service agent. So, okay, I'm going to say some things that make me actually start to question the Secret Service, and after defending them, being like, and I will continue to defend a woman's right to walk through the hallway, a government official's right to walk through the hallway of a government building without being chased. If you want Brett Kavanaugh to be able to have that face and go out to dinner in public and just not have people let them know how he feels, then you should not use the word lawfare and then chase someone in the own annals of government where your own people chased your own people. Like, I can't even, Josh Hawley was fist bumping him too, and then he was running a few hours later. Like, I can't even describe how all y'all do. Mark Zuckerberg, basically, that's badass. All Americans feel, no, we don't. No, what I feel is mad that Trump risked Secret Service lives to get a photo op, and I'm not saying he created that situation. I'm not saying he did tour the factory of the he did tour a gun store owned by the same company that owns the factory of the gun he was shot with. He is part of the party that has been fighting for decades the banning of the exact kind of rifle he was shot with. I mean, he can play victim, but I don't feel bad, and I don't want anything to happen to him. You can go back and look at all my content. You're not going to find me say anything about that. I don't root for violence, and I do oppose all forms of political violence, but I refuse to believe it's all of our jobs together to turn down the temperature, and turn down the temperature means we all have to be nice to Trump, because that's not how the rhetoric started, and that's not how the rhetoric is ending. I am going to finish this story and then be done. This is the end of the episode. So I used two terms that are popular with the right, and specifically the manosphere, that describes that are part of toxic masculinity culture. But I was actually, I think, or we'll have to see, at least with regard to Mark Zuckerberg, referring to what commenting I saw online. Um, I'm speaking so vaguely. I need to finish this and be done. Um, Okay, this was and I'm like, do I say the terms or not? The terms were cuck and beta, and I was specifically referring to the fact that Mark Zuckerberg is praising Trump a week after Trump has said he would put Mark Zuckerberg in jail. That being said, I will not apply those terms to the anti-abortion protesters because actually they were just polite. They said hi to me and they didn't openly say anything about and I did. I wasn't sure. I was like, am I going to wear a skirt to this? Maybe maybe I want to be a little bit more discreet, but I'm like, I'm out and no one's going to put me back in the closet. But I didn't know how many of them there were going to be. We outnumbered them, as I mentioned. Again, this was a clinic defense at a Planned Parenthood. I've been organizing with this group for a long time, and I realize some of them still organize with people I don't organize with anymore, and I've even talked about like why I don't organize with them anymore, and that's okay. Um, mm, I could have had, and I might in the future have an interesting. Um, but yeah, I refuse to call them names for being nice to me. um, they weren't nice to but again though I will say, and again this is actually a part of their manosphere common terminology insults, low energy, but they didn't have signs. There weren't that many of them. One of them just left um, when they realized we were here. Although he was at least told to me the organizer, and I thought, oh, he's going to come back with signs. Yeah, no, he just left. He was the one. He was the only one who said anything, and he shouted to um, a person in scrubs. Why don't you get a real job instead of killing babies? But almost exactly as that low energy as I did. Like it felt very half-hearted. Um, they do this every week. We do this. Well, I've been organizing to do this once a month, and then again, this was the first time I showed up. We also went out for coffee afterwards, which I'm like, oh, a social thing. I wasn't. I was super awkward at that because I'm super awkward at that. Yeah. And then someone who was not with us at all told one of them that they should kill themselves. I'm sorry, 988-741-741. If you're experiencing thoughts of self-harm, always I have to shout it out. I don't condone that. I don't endorse that. Um, but she was there she was someone who was there at the clinic. They tried to hand her some things. Once she realized what it was, she threw it on the ground. Um, and then she told them what she genuinely felt, which is valid because she wasn't even there for an abortion. She was there for all the reproductive, all the types of health care that Planned Parenthood offers. They offer, well, I was going to say, they offer HRT, but right wingers know what that stands for too because they want to block it. They want to block the blockers, which is, yeah. Anyway, um, But yeah, we got a lot of honks, or what G calls super honks. When you can, super honk is when you can get either like someone to really honk, or like a public system, like a bus or a. She talked about the one time like cops honked for them, and she's like, "That's weird." And yeah, no, I would agree. That would like. But I also often talk about the time I was arrested in San Francisco at a homeless, unsheltered people's rally, and this was a long time ago in the 90s. This is the first time I was arrested at a political event, and um, yeah, no, and the cop who arrested us, um, while we're like still zip tied, is like telling us how they agree with us, and I'm like, that's great. But yeah, I had been nervous. I didn't know how it would go. I'm glad I went. So these are the final closeout stories, and these are updates on the Trump shooter, who again we don't name, we because we don't. This channel doesn't name perpetrators of violence. Um, as I've said, I don't think we'll ever know. I don't believe. Well, we'll find out. I don't think we'll ever know his full politics in a cohesive way, and I'm not sure at his age he has them. Um, But we know the politics of his father, who was the registered gun owner. His mother was a Democrat. His father was a libertarian. If you don't know what libertarian is, you're like, that sounds like liberal. No, it's extreme right wing. These are the preppers. These are the militia people. These are the 3%ers and the Proud Boys. Um, Rand Paul is it Rand Paul is I don't know, is Rand Paul a Republican or a libertarian? You tell me. These are the type of people who think it's perfectly normal for a teenage, well, he's 20, he's not a teenager, for a 20-year-old for a person to walk out of a home with an AR-15 for entertainment. I'm just gonna go have some fun with the gun. Okay, have fun. Um, that's not my culture. I don't know if that's yours. If that is yours, please tell me more about it in the comments. Please respond. Please, yeah, no. Um, I had previously linked that that fact. That's the only thing. Again, we'll never know about the son's politics. We know a little bit about the dad's politics, including the fact that the dad was just pretty casual with guns. I had linked that to the Crumbly family. Crumbly family. Um, the shooter looked up the Crumbly family at some point, um, telling me on some level they knew who they were. And again, I define, it's not a term, but I'm working to make it one. A Crumbly family is a family where maybe you have a large sense of entitlement. Because remember, if you remember, when the Crumblies were called back down to the school, um, they were very defensive and angry or belligerent, and refused to take their child, who had a gun that he ended up using. Um, the shooter, the Pennsylvania Trump assassination shooter's dad's first reaction was, "I want to know what the hell is going on," and that was actually, that was enough to tell me, oh, whatever is going on with the son, some of these things are transmitted or transmuted. But yeah, a Crumbly family. I keep saying family, but I'm not doing that on purpose. But a Crumbly family is when entitlement is transmuted generationally. Um, and it's when excuses are made instead of accountability. The most amazing thing about the whole Crumblies are Ethan, the son, the shooter, is the only one who ever took. Oh, we don't name shooters, but well, everyone knows his name now. Oh, I don't name the perpetrators of violence. I don't name the perpetrators of violence unless I think it's relevant. And yeah, no, the context in which I name the perpetrators of violence. But I normally don't say his name. Is the only one who took accountability. He took full accountability at his sentencing, which is something neither of his parents ever did, which is why they're both serving. Well, I can't prove it, but can't prove a counterfactual. Like if Joseph Biden could have beaten Trump, we'll never know. Biden will never know. But he made his decision and we're all gonna respect it. Yeah, but no, where a lack of respect for others, a sense of entitlement, levels of anger. I don't know. No, I don't know what a Kremley family is, but I know. Yeah, I know chosen families are better than that. But he looked up the Crumbleys. His last search apparently was porn, which okay. I think that's probably true of many people. No. Again, I'm not making light of any part of that situation. Again, I am in no way. I do not condone political violence. I'm not even sure this is political violence, but it is. It was a violence against a candidate, which I absolutely do not condone at all. And then the thing that made me say, I question. I question. Obviously, right wingers have been questioning and calling for the resignation. Well, that's their favorite thing to do. It's called for resignations because they don't have. I don't know what else they've got. Catherine Cheadle. I can only remember that because I made a mnemonic device in my head to remember her last name, and I'm actually picturing Don Cheadle right now. But anyway, it's spelled differently. It's Cheadle, I think, with a T, not Cheadle. But anyway, I am now more questioning. A drone was flown over the convention. Convention. There was a Republican convention. Oh, all the people who are like, all the right wingers, I'm sorry, who are like, the Democrats this is so undemocratic. They're going to let the Hollywood elites install whoever they want, blah, blah, blah. Trump's daughter-in-law is head of the RNC, the committee who ran the convention and nominated and officially nominated. Do not tell me the Democrats are the party of rigging things or the or violence or any. Yeah, dude, stop it. But apparently the shooter flew a drone over the Trump rally successfully, like flew it and no, and I know I have covered on this channel, but and had explosives, and I do actually have questions about where the lapses in, and I think it will become interesting because we have entered a place where federal versus national is very much a thing, where different police have different perspectives, such as 6 Seattle Police Department officers were at January 6th. Still as far as I know, none of them entered the Capitol, so none of them are, and their free speech rights to be at January 6th Um, but also Capitol Police receiving death threats while on the campaign trail for what I'm assuming is now be Harris, but what had been Biden Harris. Um, I'm going to end with this. Yeah, no, this is just totally personal. And yeah, I already did my whole thing where, so I'm trying to get so much less get off my lawn. Um, Someone put a yard sign, a yard sale sign on my lawn, and I know the yard sale is long over, and I'm just going to leave it just to call attention to the, almost to call attention to the fact that like they blanketed this neighborhood and then just like left it all. Like that's so disrespectful. But so, and I'm not sure. Okay, someone moved the. I want to say, what are the green ones? They're just Uber or Bird or whatever. The green scooters. Someone moved it from like closer to my house to closer to. I'm sorry, to blocking the ramp from the sidewalk. And so I shot a short video, which I may upload, but I realized I can't prove an employee did that. It makes me so mad because, yeah, no, yeah, you're blocking like ADA access. You're blocking like someone. We have people who live in wheelchairs who use this sidewalk. Um, I didn't move it to the alley like I used to. I'm trying to get less more old man off my lawn. But it's completely separate from that. This is the joy moment. A kid riding a scooter just randomly screamed, "Black boy got aura!" And I had to look it up. I was like, "Is that a thing? Is that a song? Is that a terminology?" As far as I can know, it doesn't mean. As far as I can know, as far as I know, it doesn't mean anything. But Black boy got aura. I felt that. That was some real. That's the energy we need right now. So I did finish this story. Why I own a Christie mug? Because he actually said he supported trans families on the Republican stage, which is not just, I mean, not just in general. That stage in particular with his particular opponents is a tough sell for that. The other important thing to point out is he was a primary challenger to Trump. I don't normally donate to Republicans, but much famously, like the shooter we were just talking about, I've donated to both. And here's another example that I don't pull out very often, and I don't know if I've ever worn this shirt. This is a Jeb Bush shirt. But I bought it for $25 to support Jeb Bush's campaign when he was a primary challenger to Donald Trump. This would have been 2015, is that right? Before, yeah, no, this would have been way early in the campaign because by 2016, or not far into 2016, Donald Trump was the candidate. Jeb Bush also did that. Yeah, no, Jeb Bush. Do you remember that Republican stage where like 11 people were, and Jeb Bush was just really like measured and like policies, and like Donald Trump is like personal attacks on your mom, and Jeb Bush was like, "Sir," but he was so unprepared for politics in the 20th century, 21st century. Yeah. That being said, yeah, I was going to show his shirt again. I would not endorse Jeb Bush for vice president. Um, but I want to end here again. I don't think anyone's made it. If you made it to the end of this show and you're still watching, let me know who you are in the comments because you are a super fan. Because wow, I would actually endorse Chris Christie for vice president. Let's do this. You want to bipartisan this shit? You want to show up because you're fighting MAGA. Like obviously the choice of JD Vance was like I choose violence. You are fighting hardcore MAGA. You're gonna have to go centrist. Yeah, no, I guess that's interesting. Um, but yeah, I obviously I donate to lots of things. This shirt was available by Resistance by Design, but actually, much like the Biden Harris campaign, I went to their website and they basically just said, we're taking a break, and their store does not seem available either. So you have to be flexing a bunch of stuff you can't buy anymore. I don't think you can buy this Hillary Clinton "I'm with her" shirt from 2015. Oh, 16, because it would have been the summertime because it's all like hot dogs and stuff. I remember where that was. Um, Woo.